Hello, dear friends. Good morning. Dear friends, we are seeing about your paper number 6, Fish Diseases Management. In that fish diseases management, today we have to see the another one bit, that is parasite, that is Dactylogyrus. Dear friend, there are several type of parasites which are living inside the body of organism, inside the body of the fish, as well as the outside also, as well as into the surrounding medium also. The parasites which are present to the external body surface of the fish, that are simply known as the ectoparasites, and the parasites which are present inside the body of the organism, the fish, that is known as the endoparasites. So the ectoparasites are there and endoparasites are there. And these ectoparasites you can see very easily by externally. And to study the internal parasite, you have to go through the anatomy of the animal, anatomy of the fish, and then you can get a detailed idea regarding the internal organism, internal parasite, internal pathogens, that is simply the endoparasites. So the ectoparasites and endoparasites, these are the two broad groups of the parasites. Dear friends, this Dactylogyrus is one of the ectoparasite of the fish. It is found generally into the freshwater as well as marine water fishes. That means whenever any type of the infection is there of the Dactylogyrus, you can see very easily by externally. That means it is visible when on the large scale. Dear friends, this Dactylogyrus, it is of one type of trematode. You know very well there are several type of the trematodes are there. These trematodes are the leaf-like structure and that are present, that are affecting the gills. Therefore, this Dactylogyrus is also known as the parasite of a gill. And the disease which is caused by this parasite, ectoparasite Dactylogyrus, is known as dactylogyrosis. So, the disease which is found into the fresh water as well as the marine water fishes over the skin, over the gills, that is known as the dactylogyrosis. So this and the causing organism is Dactylogyrus, which is a leaf-like trematodes. It is we have seen that there are several type of the parasites are there. Some are known as trematodes, cystodes, as well as the nematodes. Depending upon their morphological structures, they have been classified: trematode, cystodes, and nematodes also. So this Dactylogyrus is one of the trematode. Body is bilaterally compressed. It is having leaf-like shape and it has several type of organelles. When you see about its distribution, no doubt simply it is distributed into the freshwater as well as the marine water fishes, and it has several species. These species are which are affecting the particularly gills. Keep in mind that this Dactylogyrus is also known as gill fluke because it is affecting, it is damaging the main respiratory organs, that is the gill. Therefore, the name as the gill fluke. This gill fluke or Dactylogyrus is having number of species like that: Dactylogyrus elongans, as well as Dactylogyrus vastator, Dactylogyrus ancoratus, and Dactylogyrus lamellatus. See there, the spelling mistake is there in this PPT. It is not the lamellato, it is a Dactylogyrus lamellatus. So the lamellatus as well as ancoratus, vastator, as well as the elegans, these are the several species of Dactylogyrus found into the fresh water as well as the marine water. See, among these species, This elegans is a one species which is giving a directly birth to the young one. So this is also affecting the gills. This is also the one of the important species of Dactylogyros. As I told that body is dorso-ventrally flattened, bilaterally symmetrical, and it is a leaf-like shape and ranging from a few millimeter up to the 7 to 8 in length. When we see about the details about the morphology, external characters of the Dactylogyros, you can see that figure. Let us see the figure. This is a figure of the parasite, that is Dactylogyros. See here, body is elongated, somewhat leaf shaped, and anterior end is there as well as the posterior end is there. That anterior end is having the head gland and the posterior end is having the hapter, and this hapter is having a different type of the structure. This hapter is used for the purpose of attachment. This hapter, it is used for the purpose of attachment to the host animal. The animal may be of the fish. So anterior end is having the head region which is having the head gland, and posterior region is having a hapter. That hapter is made for the attachment to the host body. So this Dactylogyros is identified from its another species by presence of a pair of, that is, two pair of eyes. That means it having 4 eyes which are present in a pair structure to the anterior side. So this is the one of the important distinguishing characters of this Dactylogyros from the other species, other genus. So it has a shell head gland at the anterior region. A conical type of structure is there, head gland into the anterior structure. Posteriorly it has the hapter. That hapter is meant for the purpose of attachment, and presence of 2 pairs of eye, that means 4 eyes are there. It has the well developed digestive system. It has the mouth, it has the pharynx, it has the esophagus. So this esophagus is having the well developed tubular structure. That means when we say about the digestive system, it has the mouth, esophagus, pharynx, and intestine. It is also known as the stomach. So, and that leads into the posteriorly. So this is regarding a general pattern of digestive system, alimentary canal of that Dactylogyros. We have seen that anteriorly head gland is there, posteriorly hapter is there, and just to the anterior side it also having one type of a pore, one opening is there, that is known as a gonopore, where the reproduction, a birth of young one, eggs laying is possible. And it also having the copulatory organ. It has the stomach, intestine, and so on. So these parasites, you have been seen that picture in that slide, it is having the eggs, testes, both the things are there. The male which are having a characteristic testes, and female which are having characteristics of the ovaries. So in this animal, testes and ovaries are present, therefore it indicates that it is a hermaphrodite type of parasite. That means when both the sexes are present, both the gametes, both the reproductive organs are present in a same animal, same specimen, at that time, that is known as the hermaphrodite. So male and female genital system is present in a same animal. This you may call as Dactylogyros, which is having the structure of the some of the excretory cell. Excretion is possible by the excretory cells, and that are scattered into the number of places within the body, and that excretory cells are simply known as flame cells because their structure is like the flame. Therefore, the name is given flame cells. So, the excretion is by the flame cells. Reproduction is carried out by the testes and ovaries. When we see about the posteriormost region, that is heptar, it is having a number of hooks as well as the number of hooklets, and we simply call as a pair of two large hooks are there. That two large curved, two large hooks are there that are known as the anchor. When you see the posterior side, detailed structure of the anchor is you can see very easily. Anchors are a large type of hooks which are curved. So, with the help of the anchor, it pierces the host parasite, it pierces the host animal, host organism, and make a wound also. So, it is for the purpose of attachment. So, it will get a firm attachment to the host body with the help of anchors, with the help of the hooks, and with the help of hooklets are also there. Why it is known as marginal hooklets are there? Hooks are larger and hooklets are smaller, therefore the name is given hooklets. So the marginal hooklets are there, hooks are there, anchors are there, and this apparatus is very efficient for the attaching to the host body, and with the help of that hapter it can just attach and move along with the organism, move along with the host, move along with the fish. So it is very simple structure of the you may call as dactylogyrus. Just we have seen the flukes possesses the oral sucker around the mouth. Ventral sucker is there. That ventral sucker is also known as the acetabulum, and alimentary canal is there. Just we have seen, and it is having the excretion with the help of the flame cells, and it is a hermaphrodite animal. Just we have seen. Let us see over the how to identify what are the symptoms of that disease that is known as dactylogyrosis. I repeat again, the disease which is caused by an ectoparasite that is known as dactylogyrus is called as dactylogyrosis. So the symptoms are, when you see the infected fish, generally in most of the cases, not only this dactylogyrosis, whenever there is any type of the infection, it is there, it is a normal response of the animal, it feels the restless, so it move here and there, it becomes a restless. And whenever I told that this parasite is also known as the gill fluke because it is affecting, it is damaging on large scale the structure of the gill and making a problem and making affect the process of respiration. Therefore, it is known as the gill fluke. And when we see about the symptom, when there is a damage of the gill, at that time the fishes will get suffers from the respiration, and the fishes will start moves towards the inlet of the pond where fresh water is coming, or when it is in an aquarium, at that time the fishes frequently comes to the surface for engulfing the air for the survival. So this is the one of the important thing, and it is generally happens, it is generally found into the all the number of type of diseases. It is a common response of the fish towards the any type of disease. So it in case of the pond, in case of a field, when we go and when observe such type of the diseases, the fishes, not only the dactylogyrosis, whatever the disease is there, fish generally tries to comes to get the fresh air from the atmosphere, and therefore it is just gathering towards the inlet of the pond, as well as it frequently come to the surface of the aquarium when it is in an aquarium. I told that it is a gill fluke. Ultimately, it affects the gill. Therefore, gill becomes pale in color. Color of the gill will change. Generally, into the fresh, normal, healthy fish, the gills are brick red in color. It has brick red in color. But when the fishes are infected, this or that type of disease, at that time, gill becomes pale in color and covered with the excessive type of mucus secretion. So the excessive type of mucus secretion may found into the gills. and uh, when it is present, when it is found into the younger fishes, at that time the head region of the younger fish becomes larger than the body size. Head becomes larger than the body size. And when it is having such infection, that means infection of this dactylogyrosis, here small dark coloration can occur into the body surface of the infected fishes. And simply I told that it damages the epithelium of the gills, and edge of the gills, a margin of the gills will become a grayish in color and appears a clotting like structure. And not only that, at the many of the times when infection is heavier, at that time here the operculum may become elevated, that is due to the heavy infection of the parasite into the gill. So operculum, just like the opening opens, and elevation of the operculum is also reported in that disease. Hyperplasmia as well as necrose of the gills may occur within the you may call as the gills. White areas of the thickening of mucous membrane on the skin as well as the behind the fins also occur. See here, whenever there is a one type of wound is there over the gill or over the body surface of the fish, that is the main site that will be acting as the you may call as the secondary infection for the other type of the pathogens. And therefore when it damages the gills, at that time it make the wound to the gills, and at that time here there is a greater chances of infection of the other type of the pathogens also. So these are more or less 5 to 6 type of important symptoms are there. And one important symptom, that is the fish will just rub their body, the fish will rub against their body against whatever the available substratum is there. It may be the rocks, it may be the stones, or when the infection is in a aquarium, at that time here that infected fishes will rub their body against, as in case of the itch we have seen, the Ichthyophtheres multifilus. Is it so? So in case of this disease also, the fish will try to rub their body to the any type of substratum, rocks or cells, rocks, or you may call it the stones or the wall of the aquarium. And these are also the one of the good type of the symptom. On that basis we can identify, we can conclude that that fish is possessing, having suffering from dactylogyrosis. So it is about the symptoms of the fish. Let us see about its life cycle. Even though I told that here it is of the ectoparasite and it is a hermaphrodite, so that means a self type of reproduction is there. It is a oviparous. The life cycle does not involve, it does not need the intermediate type of the host. I told that here this Dactylogyrus is a monogenic trematode. That means for the completion of its one generation, for completion of its life cycle, it will require only one type of the host. It does not require a two host for completion of its life cycle. Therefore it is a monogenic. Here mono means one and genic means here one complete life generation. So for its one generation, for its complete development, for its completion of life cycle, it will require only one host. Therefore it is a monogenic. And when it is require a two host, at the time that parasite is known as a diagenic. So it is a monogenic. So life cycle is direct, having does not require the intermediate host, and this leaves the eggs, and when hatch into the water, that attach to the fish host and developing as a another one, developing as the first developing stage, that is known as Onchomyriadis. Onco, it is of the one type of the developing stage. We have seen the Myriacidium. So it is before the Myriacidium, that is a Onchomyriacidium. So it is a one type the larval stage. So eggs hatch out and it comes to the first initial stage larvae, that is known as Onchomyriacidium larvae, and this Onchomyriacidium larvae will further develop and forms the next, that is known as the Myriacidium. So the formation of the eggs is there. Is it so? It is a formation of the eggs are there, incubation and hatching of the eggs take place, and after the hatching of the eggs, Onchomyriacidium larvae will comes out. Further it grow and it forms the next larval stage, that is known as the Myriacidium. So eggs, Onchomyriacidium, the Myriacidium, it will go into the sporocyst, that will form a next stage, that is known as the radia larva, and it also grow and forms the next stage, that is known as the Cercaria larva, and finally it reaches up to the Metacercaria larva, and which will grow and form the adult type of the parasite. So it is a very little life cycle. That means little means it is having the eggs will hatch, form the Onchomyriacidium larvae, development will take place. That Onchomyriacidium larvae will just form a next stage, that is known as a Myriacidium. That Myriacidium will goes under the stage the sporocyst, and after sporocyst it attain the stage that is known as radia larva, and this radia will convert into the development will take place. Radia will convert into the Cercaria, and further the Metacercaria, and finally the growth will take place as the adult type of parasite, which is able to infect the fresh new host. So for the development of the adults, it will require near about 22 to 25 degrees centigrade of the temperature. That means at that temperature it will have a good type of development, and this adult will lay the eggs near about 4 to 10 eggs per day, and that eggs will hatch within a you may call as about the 4 days in a time period of 20, 21 up to the 25 degrees centigrade. So for development and incubation of that eggs, hatching of the eggs, it will require a 20 to 25 degrees centigrade of temperature, of course a water temperature. So it is regarding the life cycle. So what we have seen the external characters of the Dactylogyrus, as well as the life cycle of the Dactylogyrus, symptoms of the Dactylogyrus. Now let us see about the treatment. This very common treatment is there, as in case of the other type of diseases. The majority of the fish diseases are controlled by using a sodium salt bath, as well as the potassium permanganate, as well as the bath of the formalin. These are the as well as the bath of methylene blue. See here, keep in mind that for a bath treatment of majority of the fish infection, it will require a bath of sodium salt, that is a common salt, bath of potassium permanganate, bath of methylene blue, and bath of the formalin. So these several type of the chemicals are there. You see, it is a quinine hydrochloride, a 30 ppm bath is there. Besides, mesotane bath is there. The concentration 25 to 30 grams per liter, and the time period may be of 5 to 10 minutes. Trichlorophon, it is having 0.25 to 3 mg per having per liter of the concentration. Methylene blue is there, 0.1 to 1.2 ml per 100 ml into the water tank, as well as the levamisole. So this levamisole is also having the concentration 100 mg per 100 liters for 1 to 2 days, and acetic acid is there, and number of other type of the chemicals are there. We can also use for control and curing and better control of the fish diseases, that is simply Dactylogyrus. So before you know very well, one basic principle is there: the prevention is better than the cure. Therefore you have to just prevent such type of diseases and for that purpose we should observe the fish frequently. We should sample the fish frequently from the pond, from the aquarium, and examine very well and note down whatever the changes are there, and you just keep the record of their appearance, and therefore you can get the idea regarding the symptoms and idea regarding the coming infection. So good type of management is useful for the control of the diseases, and it is said to be a time of spawning season. There may be the higher growth of such type of the you may call as dactylovirus disease. So here we finishes one of the important disease that is known as dactylovirus. Organism is dactylovirus. It is also called as a gill fluke because affecting on the gill, and the disease is known as dactylovirosis. If any difficulty, please write me, so I will tell you regarding your difficulties. Thank you very much.